यदि दे में ईश्वर।
Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Together we'll chant Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11, verses 46 to 55.
किरीटिनं गदिनं चक्रहस्तम् इच्छामि त्वां द्रष्टुमहं तथैव तेनैव रूपेण चतुर्भुजेन सहस्रबाहो भव विश्वमूर्ते। श्रीभगवानुवाच मया प्रसन्नेन तवार्जुनेदम् रूपं परं दर्शितमात्मयोगात् तेजोमयं विश्वमनन्तमाद्यम् यन्मे त्वदन्येन न दृष्टपूर्वम्। न वेदयज्ञाध्ययनैर्न दानैः न च क्रियाभिर्न तपोभिरुग्रैः एवं रूपः शक्य अहं नृलोके द्रष्टुं त्वदन्येन कुरु प्रवीर। मा ते व्यथा मा च विमूढभावः दृष्ट्वा रूपं घोरमीदृङ्ममेदम्। व्यपेतभिः प्रीतमनः पुनस्त्वम् तदेव मे रूपमिदं प्रपश्य। संजय उवाच इत्यर्जुनं वासुदेवस्तथोक्त्वा स्वकं रूपं दर्शयामास भूयः। आश्वासयामास च भीतमेनम् भूत्वा पुनः सौम्यवपुर्महात्मा अर्जुन उवाच दृष्ट्वेदं मानुषं रूपं तव सौम्यं जनार्दन इदानीमस्मि संवृत्तः सचेताः प्रकृतिं गतः श्रीभगवानुवाच सुदुर्दर्शमिदं रूपम् दृष्टवानसि यन्मम देवा अप्यस्य रूपस्य नित्यं दर्शनकाङ्क्षिणः नाहं वेदैर्न तपसा न दानेन न चेज्जया शक्य एवं विधो द्रष्टुम् दृष्टवानसि मां यथा भक्त्या त्वनन्यया शक्यः अहमेवं विधोऽर्जुन ज्ञातुं द्रष्टुं च तत्त्वेन प्रवेष्टुं च परन्तप मत्कर्म कृन्मत्परमः मद्भक्तः सङ्गवर्जितः निर्वैरः सर्वभूतेषु यः स मामेति पाण्डव
Any questions on what we have covered so far? So, we've studied how he asked for and was shown the Vishwarupa Darshana. And then his reaction to that was, oh, please take it away, I don't want to see this. And so the Lord takes it away. That shows us that when we come back to doing what is natural for us, we will always be comfortable. Like even here he shows, he's asked for the four-armed form. Remember that. He didn't ask for the two-armed form. So Arjuna is no doubt better than the general trajectory of the human race. I mean, he's a little better than the rest of us. So he's comfortable with the four-armed form. He's okay. And this comfort level is a very important thing. Because when you're comfortable, it shows that you have done it properly. If you're feeling like a little, if you're not comfortable, something is going wrong. It's like food. If you're not comfortable, you've either eaten too much or too little. But if you've eaten the right amount for yourself, then you're comfortable, right? Don't mistake this with likes and dislikes and the mind and all that. But there is a general sense of comfort when you're doing things of your own level. If you're with people who are of your level and your nature and your type, just feel more comfortable. But if you try to be with people who are at a much higher level or something, then you feel a little sort of not so comfortable. So this comfort is actually a good indication to us that we're doing enough, not too much, not too little. So now he's come back to his form and he says, we did 52, 53 last time, right? Or have we to start it?
Yes, we did it. 54 now.
We're 54. Thank you. So the blessed Lord said, very hard to see this form of mine which you have seen. Even the gods ever long to behold this form. Neither by Vedas, nor by penance, nor by gift, nor by sacrifice can I be seen like this as you have seen me. There's so many ways in which to read this verse. But of course, primarily what it is saying to us is that in the spiritual path, there are two types of obstacles. The first type of obstacles is represented by gods here. Gods in the sense, people who are interested, good people, of course, but they are interested in enjoyments, and they've relaxed into that life. In other words, a materialistic life. You'll find many good people in this world, they cannot see anything beyond. It's always will be a mystery to us. Why can't they see? As I was in Delhi and I met many, many nice people. In fact, very nice trip to Delhi. And we met many, many very senior people, chairman of companies or whatever, various very well-placed people, people who owned industrialists and all of that. Now, many of them, see, since they meet me, it's assumed that some interested value is there. So they're very, very nice people. Very, very mature. They look after their companies very well. Their companies are doing beautifully. Families are good. They're taking care of their health. They're very disciplined from what they were telling me about themselves. Now, they even told me, one of them told me that there are these three brothers who run the organization together. And it's a very, very old organization. It's a family business. It's come down for many years. Many years means over a century, more than a century. And among the wealthiest people in this country. Now, these brothers, three of them, they're running the organization. And they do something very interesting. Every year, once a year, the three brothers, only the three brothers, take a sort of retreat with a counselor or, somebody like that. They had somebody. And anything that they may have in their mind about each other, they bring it up, they discuss it, and they make sure that there is no rancor in anybody's heart, or, they feel unfairly treated, or their voice has not been heard, or somebody has done anything that they have. And he was saying that every year on year, we've been doing it for the last 20 years. So can you just imagine why the company is doing so well? Because between the top three guys, the eldest brother and his two young, I met the eldest, these three guys who run the group, we just imagine how much nicer it will be, right? Now, why did they do this? Because many years ago, their group split. After 100 years of being there, they split. And so these three brothers did something very sensible. They prevented this normal joint family problems that arise. So very, very mature, very sensible way of doing everything. Lovely to hear that people take such proactive actions to prevent problems rather than solve problems when they come. Isn't that wonderful? And yet these people can go no further than the world. They cannot seem to conceive anything beyond doing this bit well. They're doing this bit very well, but they don't seem to think of anything other than that. And the rest of us, we may not even be doing this bit well, but we can conceive something higher, something greater, something nobler. So if you look at it, the first category of people who are very interested in the world, some of whom run their lives well and some of whom don't run their lives well. Like if you think of a Vijay Mallya or a Nirav Modi or somebody like that, they go and create all this chaos for themselves. These other industrialists, and I met quite a few of them, they seem to handle their affairs much better. They're stable, they're good, they handle things. He also told me about how they have medical insurance for their people, and they have tied up with a few hospitals so that those hospitals give something like a 25 to 50% discount to these guys. So their people get double benefit. Firstly, they got the insurance. Let's say they have a 1 lakh rupee insurance, but now they're paying 50%. So that 1 lakh lasts longer. And that's how he's looking after all his employees. Isn't this a wonderful thing? So here are people who are doing it very well. And then there are some people who are not even doing their worldly things very well. They're fighting, they're creating chaos in their own ways. But this entire lot, whether you're doing it well or you're doing it badly, this entire lot was not interested in anything higher. So the first obstacle to the spiritual path is all the world itself. Now, these people, I mean, the fact that he was telling me was obviously, this is something he's proud of, right? So proud of means not in an arrogant way, but he's telling me, so he thinks these are good things he's doing, and of course they are. So doing all these things, taking such good care of everything, the mind is stuck in that. Then there's the rest of us. We are interested in spirituality. Are we free of obstacles? So one way is the world pulls us. The other thing is the path itself pulls us. The path itself pulls us in the sense that we start getting involved in the path. We love the jnana, we love the bhakti, we love the karma. We forget that these were meant to be tools. So there are two types of obstacles in the spiritual path. One is the world, the attractions of the world. And the second one is the attractions of the path. And according to Isavasya Upanishad, the attractions of the path are way more deadly. Because, those who are not interested, at least they think I'm not interested and, there is something greater, I should be interested. But those who are interested, they feel they're doing the right thing. So naturally, in the course of my activities, I obviously meet people who are interested in spiritual life. And you should see how involved they are. Like we discussed yesterday, how their self-awareness converts into ego. They don't know it. They tell you all those things. They are just as proud as those guys and how well, how the chairman has handled his company and all. He's very proud. He's telling you what he has done. The spiritual person is telling you what he or she has done. And so the spiritual person is actually telling you wrong things. So involved in the path. One chap we met, believe it or not, he told me that these people spend 10 hours meditating in the hope of learning physics. What do you say to that? And they don't believe in any laboratory or anything, but they say that if I do 10 hours of meditation, and then all the laws of physics become clear to me. Okay, I don't know. I am not commenting on all this stuff. But the fact of the matter is that people who believe they are interested in spiritual affairs, they got involved in it. So, two types of obstacles in the spiritual path. One is the attachment to the world. The second is the attachment to the path itself. So this verse actually, it's a very innocuous sort of verse, but still so much in it. Now, very hard to see. Very hard to see means, remember that this is a Kshatriya he's talking to, Rajasic quality. Very hard to see, you can understand it as he's trying to impose into Arjuna, this force feed Arjuna into the concept about the importance of this whole exercise, means the whole exercise of the spiritual path. And how do you tell a Rajasic person that? You tell him it's very difficult. Because the moment you say it's very difficult, then he wants to do it. That's the nature of a Kshatriya. So you can say that, very hard to see, very hard to perceive these truths of life. So in that sense, he's trying to explain the value of this knowledge. The most difficult thing is to explain the value of this knowledge. The knowledge is very simple. In what? In life, 4 or 5 lines, you can say the entire knowledge of Vedanta. There's nothing to it. Tell you 4 or 5 lines, whole knowledge of Vedanta. You don't need anything. Very simple. You are the self. You don't know this because of desires. When the desires are removed, you will know this. Desires are removed through Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga. The bulk of desires are reduced to this. When you have very few desires, just the desire for the self and the soul more slightly, you'd meditate. All the desires will go when you realize the self. What is complicated in Vedanta? Simplest thing on the surface of this earth. Teaching Vedanta is very easy. Explaining the value of it, वो तो मेरे बस की बात नहीं है. It is beyond. Everybody, almost everybody I met over there told me about how wonderful this is and what wonderful work and what a great idea to set up the world's first Vedanta University and सब कुछ. But उनको बोलो, okay, then you open the book and study. नहीं बाबा, मुझे बख्श दो. थोड़े पैसे चाहिए तो ले लो. But it's just seeing it is so tough to explain the value of this knowledge. And because, building a university is a it's a difficult thing. It's no joke. Where is this 108 crores coming from? No joke. So people have other ideas. Why not? We met somebody who told us, why don't you build an online university? Somebody said, why don't you have a university that has all the other stuff as well? Why do you want to do only, a sort of single domain university? So many questions people had, and all valid questions. But the bottom line of it is that most people see it as something good, not as something critical. So suppose somebody is having a heart attack. You will leave this class and go and attend to their heart attack, obviously. Why? Because you think that is critical. But what things will you leave to attend the class, or what will you leave to do your morning studies? That tells you how critical you find this knowledge. To find it good is one thing. To find it critical is a completely different. But the deal is that the knowledge is critical. Because everything we do in life is going to be based on this, on your understanding. And yet something else is always more important. So it's very hard to see. Very hard to perceive, Arjuna, the truth, the reality, the facts of the matter. It's sort of giving him an impetus to study. Then you can also read it as very hard is it to see this form of mind. Very hard to see this form of mind because there is no such form. Nobody else is going to see the form that Arjuna saw because nobody else has Arjuna's mind. If at all people will see, they'll see their own forms. Very hard to see this form of mind which you have seen. Even the gods ever long to behold this form. Like people who are good people, noble people, they're doing good work. They say how nice it would be, to get darshan of the Lord. They feel that one day it's going to descend on them. They don't think in terms of putting any work in that area. So they long. What are the gods? The gods are people, good people who believe in enjoying themselves. Means they'll go on pilgrimages, they'll go to nice places, they're enjoying everything. So these two verses in some way just repeats 47 and 48 where he says it's so difficult to see this form, even the gods have not seen it. But he slightly moves it. Okay, by the way, he said attachment to the world and attachment to spiritual paths. So the yajna and the Vedas and all that, if you were attached to them, you will not see the form. So that way you can take it as the obstacle. Or you can take it as the path by which the form won't be seen. So this is a verse which lends itself to various angles of vision. no one can be seen. Where is this? Evam vidha drashtum na shakya. You cannot see it in this form by any of the spiritual paths. If you cannot see it by any other spiritual path, it means it is not a consequence of the spiritual path. Since I can't see any of you all, I don't even know if you are awake or asleep. Some people at least, only I can see Deep Raj. Only one person I know is at least paying attention. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Only showing Jyoti, or I can only see your books. I cannot see you. Okay, now I can see you. All right. So now I feel like this. Otherwise, blank screen I talk to. So where were we?
Thank you.
Yeah, Bharat.
Yeah, one question. So, aren't we supposed to be attached to the path? I mean,
Attachment to the path is involvement in the path.
so if the student is detached, then what is he attached to then? Aren't we
This is,
supposed? Okay.
see, when you sit in your car and you drive somewhere, or you sit in a rickshaw to go somewhere, you don't say, oh, what a lovely rickshaw, and refuse to leave that, right? You have to get out of the rickshaw and go to the place you're going to. But on the spiritual path, oh, my teacher is very nice, my bhakti is very nice, my jnana is very nice, my karma is very nice. You have to eventually get out all of this and reach the destination. Okay, so neither by Vedas, nor penance, nor gift, nor sacrifice can I be seen. So how many ways can you say? You can say that this form, these kind of forms don't come because you do spiritual practices. That's number one. The other way you can look at it is, I'm giving you all these various things because different people will say it in different ways. And all of them can be right because they all fit in this thing. Number one, by spiritual practices, you don't see this form. Number one. Number two, by spiritual practices, you don't realize the self. You can take it like that also. In the sense that now you've fallen in love with the practice and you're not using it as a tool. So don't get involved. You can look at it like that also. So because these are very deep verses, there are various angles of visions you can have. And when you read it different times, different ones will seem more inspiring to you. It's such subtle knowledge that it can be interpreted in various ways. Okay, you can look at that same thing in various ways, and all of them may be correct.
Janki, just one. When he says the paths will not lead to him, then whole thing in the past has been that you follow these paths, it will lead to him.
Yeah, that's what we just did, no? So these paths will not lead to him means these paths, the correct spiritual practices, will not lead you to seeing forms. That's one way you can see.
Seeing forms, okay.
Seeing a form, yeah. Because there is no form to be seen. So if you do it correctly, why would you be seeing a form? Number one. Number two, the second way of looking at the same thing. These paths don't lead to him unless you use it as a path to him. In other words, you won't realize the self because you have got involved in karma or bhakti on him. You will create further desires for karma or bhakti on him.
Yeah, that part I understood. The earlier one was when he says that it does not lead to him means that particular form. Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Okay. None of these are going to lead to him, none to realization. Then what on earth is going to lead to realization? That is the next verse. What are we supposed to do then? Verse 54. Bhaktya tvananyaya shakyah ahamevam vidorjuna jnatum drashtum cha tatvena praveshtum cha parantapa. Bhaktya tvananyaya shakyah ahamevam vidorjuna jnatum drashtum cha tatvena praveshtum cha parantapa. So he's telling us now, jnatum drashtum tatvena praveshtum. So yeah, these are all the Tumanta forms for those who are studying Sanskrit. They are all the forms that shows that to do this. So jnatum, to know, drashtum, to see, praveshtum, to enter. So, and that also the tattva, the essence. So how do you know, how do you see, how do you enter? So what has he described realization as? To know it, to see it, and to enter it. What we usually talk about, being one with it. It's not like, what should I say? It's not like you just know it, but it is knowing it, but it's not just knowing it. It is drashtum. Drashtum means it is seen. It is seen in the sense that it's a very personal experience. In the sense of it's your own perception. It is not something told to you. Suppose you use just the word nyatum. It is a sort of, what should I say, style of the scripture. So he says, this is the way to know it. But then we also know, if I ask Nine, who are you? And Nine will say, I am the self. He also knows it. Ramana Maharishi also can say it. But there's a difference, no, between Nine saying, I don't know, I think there's a difference, Nine, between you saying that I know I am the self, and Ramana Maharishi saying, I know I am the self. So know it. So you have to know it. But not knowing in the way we understand, in the way we theoretically all know we are the self, not like that. It has to be drashtu. Drushti is your sight. It has to be seen. It has to be perceived. You have to know it like that. Or not know it, sorry. You have to see it like that. And then you may say, yeah, I'm seeing the form of the Lord. I go to the temples or churches or mosque and I see the form of the Lord or whatever. Or I met the Lord, I had breakfast with him. So you say, no, very, very close and very, very personal. No, so it's not that one. So he uses praveshtu. Praveshtu means enter, means be one, be the same. There is no difference. When the river enters the ocean, you cannot tell what is the river and what is the ocean. And so he says, Jnatum, Drashtum, Praveshtum. Otherwise you say, why would you use 3 words, right? 1 word is more than enough. But 1 word, every time he uses a word, there's a possibility of us mistaking it. If he says Jnatum, then we'll understand it as, oh, I know it. He says, no, it has to be Drashtum, to be seen. Meaning what? It has to be your own personal experience. Like we can say, no, Vedanta says this, or Vedanta says that, or my teacher says this, or my teacher says that. We can make all these statements. So that means you know. But Drashtum means it is not what somebody said. It is what you have seen. It's that personal experience. You understood. And then he says, Praveshtum. Just to avoid the misunderstanding that you saw something. You're not actually seeing it, you're becoming it. The river becomes the ocean. Even becoming is wrong because you already are. But now how many words can he use? Every time he uses a word, we are going to misunderstand it. So how do you reach this? So basically what did we understand? Jnatum, Drashtum, Praveshtum is all referring to self-realization. So how do you get it? Here's where the trouble starts. So far so clear, right? Because even if this is not clear, then going further. So far so good. Jnatum, Drashtum, Praveshtum. knowing, seeing, entering. This refers to realization. Okay, so far so good? Okay, so now here's the problem, because now the question is, how do we attain the self? Everybody's going to go up and answer. Bhaktya is the answer to the question. How do you reach the self? Bhakti. Bhaktya means with bhakti, with devotion, by the process of devotion. Now, this is not fair to us jnanis. He's saying bhakti. What about हम लोग क्या है? ऐसे ही हम लोग नहीं realize करने वाले क्या? So why is he saying bhakti? But then you'll know with the next one. Tu ananyaya. Bhakti ananyaya. Ananyaya means, anya means other. Ananya, no other. So what is he referring to? A single pointed desire or love for the Lord. You see, what is the difference between saying, last verse he said, by yajna, by tapas, by dan, by all of the stuff, right? What is the difference between that and saying by bhakti? Those refer to the tools you use. When he says ananya bhakti, no other bhakti, it refers to the motivation in using those tools. So you could have a Mercedes and you travel everywhere in that Mercedes, right? That is having a tool. Now, whether you use your Mercedes to race on the roads and damage somebody, or rush to a friend who has some problem, maybe has some financial problem, he needs your help, you just rush there, right? So one thing is a tool, one thing is your intent in using that tool. So the tools of the spiritual path are karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, or what he has said, yajna, dana, tapas, use those forms, whatever word. These are the tools. These tools in themselves are nothing. Just as if I ask you, is Mercedes good? It's a tool. It depends on what you use it for. If you use it to mow down 4 people sleeping on the road, then it's no good. So one thing is a tool. One thing is your intent and purpose in using that tool. So he is saying that if you want realization, what you need to do is
use the tool with the intention, single pointed devotion.
Have the intention of realization. Then only it's going to work. If you don't have that intention, okay, let's say, suppose I tell you, they're building a wonderful road, right? Mumbai, Delhi, they're going to make a road. So I tell you, you can take your car and go to Delhi. Suppose you have to buy a car. I say, what will you do with the car? So you can drive to Delhi. You say, okay, very good. And then you buy a car. And then you take it down to Kanyakumari. So now, though you have the tool, you still haven't reached Delhi. Why haven't you reached Delhi?
The direction is wrong.
The intention only is wrong. You didn't intend to go to Delhi. You took your car. You're very happy to see Kanyakumari. So you didn't intend to go to Delhi. So you have reached somewhere else. You may have gone to Delhi. You may have gone to Orissa. You may have gone in the world. So one thing is a tool. One thing is the intent behind that tool. So the tool is you come to class. So what is the intent? Having come to class, what do you want to do with it? That intention is what 99% of spiritual sadhaks lack. And that is why very few of them listen. So they do it, but without the ananya bhakti. Ananya bhakti. Bhakti, why does he say bhakti? Why not say jnana? Because your intention is your desire. What are you doing it for? Now we're setting up a universe. What are you doing it for? We'll take a trip to Delhi. What are you doing it for? You're attending class. What are you doing it for? Until I know that, I am simply in love with the tool and not using the tool as a method of reaching something. Yes, Harsiman.
Hari Om, I had a question, please. Just extending the analogy that you have shared, the Kanyakumari one. Now, the example that you shared is that this person had to go from, let's say, Jaipur to Delhi, and the person goes in a completely different direction. Let's say that the person covers half the distance between Jaipur and Delhi and then stops. So in this case, the person has the tool, and while the intent might not be there to reach the destination of Delhi, but the person has still covered some distance. So would this still be counted as a journey, as a journey towards a self, or because the destination it will be?
Yes, why not? He has gone towards the things will be counted. But if you try this stunt, it will not work for you. It can happen that you set off in the car and without intending to go to Delhi, you reach Delhi. This can happen. But your probability is very, very low. So it's not a method to use. You can't say, "Acha, main gaadi mein baith raha hu. I hope I'll reach Delhi." No. You'll have to have maps, you'll have to have guidance, you have to have 100 things. Okay, you can't say, okay, मैं तो कुछ काम कर ही रहा हूँ, एक दिन बिल गेट्स बन जाऊंगा. हो सकता है. It is possible, but it is highly improbable. And you say, oh, but I didn't become Bill Gates, but I became, I don't know, Singhania Zaidikin. So, okay. But, so have I become rich? Yes, you become rich. But 99.9% of people are not going to make it there unless they have an intention. I mean, there is an element of luck, but are we going to rely on it? Who knows that it will come to us? What we can rely on is our intention, our work. So theoretically, what you're saying is okay. Yes, of course he's moved. Of course he's on the journey. But don't try it that way. I mean, not don't try. Don't expect that I will also do that many point janga. That is unlikely.
Okay, thank you so much.
So what he said, to be realized, jnatum, drashtum, praveshtum, to know, to see, and to enter. What do you need? Bhaktya ananya. Bhaktya means with bhakti, by bhakti, ananya. No other. Oh, Momita. Momita, I cannot afford to not answer your question now. Yesterday I missed answering her question. So he ticked me off and said, my question you're not taking, you shouldn't tick me off. If I ever, sometimes it may happen, you raised your hand, you asked a question, something, and I didn't take it up. So please just bring it up. I'm not ignoring any of you. It's not my style to ignore people. It's my style to fire people, not to ignore them. So don't worry. If I have something to say, you will know. Momita. And we lack the intent because we do not understand how critical it is. Yes, correct. We lack the intent because we do not understand how critical it is. Correct, Momita. We don't think this is critical. We don't give it the highest priority in our life. We say, Abhi, I'm busy with this, I'm busy with that. Ye ho jayega, tab karunga, wo ho jayega, tab karunga. We may not say, now we have become careful. We don't say, I will do this in my old age. We just say, I just finish this and then I will do that. Just finish this and I will do that. Actually, when I went to meet Swamiji, I was 21 years old. And so He said, so what are you doing? So like everybody, I also gave a list of what I was doing. I was about to start a business. I was the president or something, the secretary of the Leo Club, or there was some list of things I gave that I was doing. And then he looked up at me, and then he is talking normally, and all. At some point in the conversation, he looked at me and said, what are you doing so important that you would not do this? That question, what really hit me, like, which of these things is so important? I wouldn't do this. I'm going to sacrifice this to do that. And I have no knowledge whether in the future I will ever get this opportunity. I mean, just imagine, right? Suppose you get married, you get children, or you get involved in whatever work you do. When will you come back to this path? And that's hit me a lot, that question. What is so important that you're willing to sacrifice this for it? He didn't ask in any dramatic way, Swamiji. Very, 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 like it's asked very casually. If you catch it, you catch it. If you don't catch it, it's very casually. And I went home. I remember going back home. I sat in the cab. What is this important thing I'm doing again? Because in my mind, before that conversation, I was doing so many things. After that conversation, I was totally flummoxed. What of these things is so important? So you can answer that question. So you're very wise, Mamita. You don't have the intention because you don't find the spirit. You find many other things for it. Some people say, well, I can't do this because it's too expensive. I can't do it because of this and that. The thing is, if you figure out that this is the most important thing to be done, you will get it done. You just will get it done. You don't have to. Anybody who thinks whatever they're doing is important, they get it. Then they don't have any excuse. If you have an excuse, means what? It's not important. Some parents, they have a child who's unwell or something, and some fabulous amounts they require for. How will you, like 1 crore of rupees or something, they require for the child? Do they give up? They will do what it takes to get that money. I think that is why that intention, that love, that intention, that which motivates it, that's the critical element. If that is not there, then all our interest is useless. See how many of us are 33 of us in class. If even 2 people in this class have the intent, this world is blessed. Not interest. Interest is very different. Intent. To reach the end. To have it, to reach somewhere. So, bhaktya ananyaya means no other interest, no other thought. That famous story, right, of Hanuman. After the war, he was given a necklace for all his great efforts. He put that necklace to his ear. It didn't say Ram, Ram, he threw it. There was nothing to do with Ram. I've got nothing to do with it. If it takes me to Ram, I do it. If it doesn't take me, I'm out of the game. So, bhaktya ananyaya. Shakyam aham evam vidha Arjuna. By that kind of single-pointed interest, bhakti, intention, that's what you really want. If you have that, but that's what I really want. At the end of the day, if you wake me up in the middle of the night, say, what do you want? And if you say, I want realization, then that's what you want. If you say, I'd like an ice cream, please, then that's what you want. You say, oh, I've been trying to get married. Have you found me somebody? Then that's what you want. So whichever one will work, anytime you are asked, what do you want? The answer is always the same thing, time after time. In sleep also you're woken up, then that is what it is. So if you have that, Shakya means possible. Aham evam vidha, I am possible. This is possible if you want. Remember, it doesn't say if you do all the spiritual action. Firstly, do you want it? When you are crying, do you cry that I have not realized? Or do you cry because ye nahi hai, wo nahi hai, wo nahi hai? So bhaktya ananya, by single pointed bhakti. And bhakti means devotion. Devotion means the love for the higher. By single pointed. I don't know if this idea is clear. There is a group of people who are interested in spiritual things. They would love to go on a pilgrimage. They would love to go to the temple. They'd love to do yoga. They'd love to attend classes. They like to read books on all this. Okay. And then when we also go out to meet people and we want to talk to them, we also locate these kind of people. They're our tribe. They're our people because they're interested in these things. What Krishna is saying is, he has rejected that whole lot. He is saying something like this. All of us want to be wealthy. Not everybody wants to be rich. Ask anybody. Deep God, do you want to be rich? So yes, of course, why not? And 9, do you want to be rich? Yes, of course. Ask Arun, do you want to be rich? We'll say, oh, I'm already rich. Whatever it is that everybody wants the riches. And slightly more than what we have is always appreciated, right? Everybody wants money. But there is a difference between Warren Buffett and us, Bill Gates and us, Adani and us. Now, I don't know what that chap Adani has done. I don't follow this, but there seems to be some problem there. But just think of that guy Adani, whatever it is, he was not so wealthy as he is now. And then to become that wealthy, Harsimran, it is possible that he becomes that wealthy just like that. But it is very unlikely. He would have had ananya bhakti towards that thing. Any achiever is completely focused on that thing. Now Mitali, she's teaching what, 600 students? How many students, Mitali? 600? 400, okay.
400.
It is possible that she could have got 400 students just like that. But no, she has worked at it. Day and night she has struggled at it. And people have joined and joined and joined. And they would not have, had she not done what she was to do, if that was not her goal. I mean, she did have a goal of 400 students or anything. Her goal was, I want to help these students. I think that's what her goal was, to help these students who don't have access to good education with online education. And she worked and worked and worked. Do you think Aishwarya Rai, or who are all these ladies? Who's your favorite actress, Deepraj? Okay, Naeem, which is yours? No, who are the actresses now?
I like Madhubala.
Madhubala. You are too far in the past. Okay. But today, who is that girl who was size 0?
Karina,
Karina.
Alia, Katrina. You can ask me, Janki ji.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Bharat. Somebody is telling me. Alia, Katrina, Karina. You collected a whole bunch, Bharat. Okay, so all these ladies, they are all size 0. Do you think they're size 0 by chance? What has gone into it? Even these girls who become Miss Universe and all, what has gone in it? So those people who are fixed on what they want, the amount of effort that goes into it. But why does that effort go? Because that's what they want. Now, the rest of us also, all us ladies, we also want to be like what? Katrina and Karina and Alia. We also say, oh, very beautiful, very beautiful. I also want to be. That's so very interested. We also occasionally, every time we eat cake, we say, no, I shouldn't eat cake. Because why? So that you can become like this Katrina, Karina, and Alia. So we are all very careful. No. I can't eat so much cake. While I'm eating it, while I can't eat so much. This is too much. In Delhi, I went, they gave me so much good food. I put on 3-4 kgs and come back. Every time I said, no, I can't eat this. They say, acha, ye wala le lo. Theek hai, fir ye wala leti hu. All this, so much interest in health, so much interest in looking good, so much interest in this Karina. Are we that? We are not. Why not? Interest, not that intention, that goal, that final, that's what I'm going for. We're not doing that. So we'll go for a jog, we'll go for a walk, we will talk about eating the right food, we will discuss all this with everybody, people will say they're very interested. That end result is your tutor. See the difference?
This intention develops after we have done a considerable amount of bhakti, jnana, and karma, right? Because in the previous days, the bulk of desires won't let us have that intention.
Yes and no. You have some intention. Like now, maybe we don't have the intention, let us say, of full realization. But then you say, okay, I think the single most important thing I can do in my life is study Vedanta. This is the important thing. Everything else is something that needs to be done. So the intention is all in that direction. At no time is there something landing on our shoulders just like that. It does. I shouldn't say because Harisimran is there. I shouldn't say it doesn't. It does. But we can't rely on it. It does sometimes. It may suddenly happen that BJP may approach Momita and say, we want you to be our next prime ministerial candidate. Possible, but it's very unlikely. I mean, these kind of things do happen. It's not that they don't happen at all. But we cannot rely on them happening. If she doesn't want to be PM, then she will have to do all the things are doing and more. So going in that direction also counts. So like say, what was your example about the going from Jaipur to Delhi? So you say, okay, when you're in Jaipur, you don't say Delhi straight away. You say, you're on the way to Delhi.
Janki, you seem to be having some network issues.
Oh. Can you hear me or not?
Yes, but your voice is cutting out.
Your video is
broken. No sound.
Hari Om. Not sure if Janki ji will be logging in again as it's 11:32. Uh, just an announcement. While Janki ji will be away for the France retreat, we will be having group discussions. So from next Saturday, we'll be having group discussions. So please do come for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hari Om, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.